Hi, this is Douglas Robinson, and in this video we're going to be working on the HTML editor in Cherwell. A while ago I actually got a request for a video asking if I could do a video on using the HTML editor in Cherwell, and unfortunately I've kind of been putting it off just because I really don't like the HTML editor in Cherwell. We have the video, you're getting a video today. I never use this dashboard anymore, so I'm taking that off. We will be doing this video today. So what I've done is I have a dashboard here, and you can see I have a nice widget on this dashboard with a YouTube video on it, which is great. I could probably even embed one of our YouTube playlists on here if I wanted to put that much effort into it. But here's a good example of a HTML page. Now this is just an iframe. On the dashboard, it uses a browser widget that's connected to an internal Cherwell HTML page. So I've created a widget for my dashboard. It's in my user folder, which we can confirm by opening up the info page. The name is YouTube Test. The scope is user CSD admin. It is a browser type widget, and it loads an HTML page. Now, we can get into the HTML page manager from within the client, but if you're above, I think, version 8.2, somewhere around there, they made it so when you want to edit one of these HTML pages, it actually opens the HTML page manager application. So there's now a separate exe that's used for handling HTML editor stuff, and yeah, that's okay. It's decent. It makes sense from the perspective of you maybe not wanting someone to consume a license and also not wanting them to log into the administrator tool. So there's kind of a dual purpose to that, which is good. So here's the HTML page editor, and you know it's here. It works. You can copy and paste some stuff into it. Occasionally I run into issues in the HTML page editor, which is, you know, if you just click around in here every once in a while, when you go back into the source page, and it didn't do it this time, which is great. I just all the time I end up seeing this. Sorry, there. Something along those lines. This NBSP, which I guess is kind of like a line break, or really might not even really be anything. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with HTML, but it has a habit of inserting that again and again and again every time you edit this, which can really make your source code in here look like trash. But in this instance, I've embedded a YouTube video. You'll notice it doesn't render in the HTML page editor, which is fine. We can see it's an object that exists there. And it does render on our dashboard, which is great. Now I am going to go to the beginning of this. I'm going to prefix this with some text. So one of the nice things that I'm going to say that the HTML editor has is that you can design your HTML page in real time, which is, you know, in some places that's a current feature that's standard that, you know, some people will expect, and in some places that's not. I really like this feature. So for example, I can say this is the greatest YouTube, I misspelled YouTube, video ever. And when we look at source, we can see this is the greatest YouTube video ever. And okay, so here's the text. They might have fixed it on version 9.3 actually. I might not even know what I'm talking about. And so now we click OK. We click OK. We open our dashboard. And here we'll notice we now have, oh no, we don't have it. We might have to reload defs. So this kind of just goes to show how little I use the HTML editor. It's a nice feature, you know, there's a use case for it, and I have actually used it a couple times to where it's been like, you know, almost like a little savior. You know, there's been instances where I've only been able to get something done with the HTML editor, so it definitely has its place. So we're going to edit this page a little bit more because there's one more feature that we want to go over. The other big feature on the HTML editor that you kind of need to know, actually there's two, they tie into each other a little bit. So the thing you want to be able to do in the HTML editor is edit CSS. If you're working with an HTML page, there's a big chance that you use CSS. So for example, we can apply a style to the P, or paragraph style. And please bear with me because it has been a while since I've actually written CSS. Oh, let's see. I think there's one for font size, right? Is that a thing? Did I do it? Did I do it correctly? We'll find out. We'll have to refresh or reload definitions. So I hardly write CSS anymore. I know I'm always within a couple points of where I need to be, which is good. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to Google common CSS examples, and then we'll apply those. I was close. There's a font size somewhere in here. Oh, I think I have to write out the number of pixels. That's funny. See, I'm close. I'm always a Google search away. I know the fundamentals. I haven't done CSS in a little while. I'm very happy to say that I haven't had to. Not that it's not a nice thing to do. I mean, the most recent thing I think I have done in CSS, I'm hoping this actually loads in the dashboard and that I'm not just wasting time. We're just going to try typing it out. We're going to try typing it out. So, yeah, I think my format's right, you know. We're going to go for P, and then the whole brackets, and then I wonder if I put my colon in there correctly. Pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did. So when we go in here, now you'll notice I'm doing a lot of opening up this HTML page manager. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine, that on the current version you have to do it that way. It is a little tedious. And for that reason, I kind of wish they'd set it back to the old method to where you could edit it within the client. But that's fine. Oh, you know what it is? I put a semicolon after the letter P. Oh, look at that instant feedback. That's nice. That's really nice. That's how you know it's working. Look at that. We have CSS. Let me see if I can do some freestyle here. So, background color blue. Oh, I meant for actually, yeah, that kind of works because this is a P element. This is a P element. It looks horrendous, but you know, whatever. Is it font color or text color? What about foreground color? I really don't know. Nope, it's definitely not foreground color. It's not text color. What about font color? Nope. Well, I don't know how to color this thing white. I really don't. There we go. This is the greatest YouTube video ever. Something else you can do. I mean, if you're familiar with HTML, then you know exactly what you're doing. We can give this a class. So we'll call this a class of text, and then that way we can filter this to just our text class. Ta-da! We click OK. We click OK. We click OK. We click OK. It's a lot of OK buttons, I'm just going to say. And then, you know, of course, again, we have to reload definitions once more because really what we're doing isn't in the client. The client doesn't recognize that update. What we're doing is in the separate app, the HTML page manager. So when we close that, the client doesn't know that we've updated the definition, and so we have to hit help and then reload definitions for instant feedback in the client. But yeah, that's essentially how you work with HTML page or HTML pages and the HTML editor in Cherwell. But off the top of my head, I can't think of very much to say aside from not every HTML element is supported. So my observation of this is that what they've done to support HTML in this and to validate HTML is that they just cycle through each element as if it's XML and they check it against a list. And the problem with this is not all elements are supported. So a lot of the HTML5 elements just won't exist in here and they won't be recognized and they'll throw errors. You'll notice I put an iframe in here. That's because I can't use the HTML5 video element for a video, and an iframe was just kind of easier because this is the embed code from our YouTube video. But another thing is, if you use CSS a lot, you can't put CSS onto the body element in the HTML editor. It'll strip that out. At least in one of the previous versions it will. I had a ticket for this at some point, and I honestly haven't tested it. So there's a couple minor bugs. If there's an error, occasionally if it detects an error as you try to close or as you try to cycle out and it shows the error at the bottom of the screen, it'll usually move your cursor to that error as well. So if you try to type something out somewhere and you've got an error at the bottom of the screen, it will move your cursor as you type to wherever the error is. That's something I was running into earlier today as I was getting ready for this one. But yeah, aside from that, I know there's a couple of other interesting things in here, like if you wanted to put in, wrong button, if you wanted to put in a background image, for example. So if we wanted to say that for the body of this, background image equals, there's actually an option, there's a little button here to insert a Cherwell image, and this one's kind of cool. I gotta say, I like this little button. It's nice. It took me a while to recognize that it was even there at first. I'm sure I have our logo somewhere. This is going to look horrendous. But you'll notice, here we've got background image, and then it inserts a special token for that background image, which is good. I don't know if this will load or not. We'll find out. If not, it's very likely that I've just screwed up the CSS style for that. I don't know all of the different CSS styles, and frankly, I don't think I need to. Okay, yeah, that one didn't render, but you get the idea. So there's an insert Cherwell image action, and then there's also one last thing, the option to insert a Cherwell action onto the HTML page. This one's kind of useful. I wish they would give you the option to insert a widget, which would be kind of cool. So for example, if we want to, we can insert a link to a dashboard or a one-step or something on here. So we can click on this little exclamation mark that says insert Cherwell action. You have the same insert Cherwell image button here. There's also an expression, stored value, or system function option. This is just a context menu. Oh, and they added metrics to it, which is kind of nice. So I guess if you use metrics are kind of a good stand-in for, your dashboard widgets. You wouldn't have drill down on them though. So we have the option here of inserting a Cherwell action. And a Cherwell action can be a command. For example, you could have it log you out, or it could be a one-step, which is kind of nice. So we could have a one-step here for new incident. If we click OK, and we click OK, and we click OK, and we reload definitions, I just want to say this was easier on version 8 before they added in the HTML page editor, but okay. Here's the new incident one-step button, and we click on it and it runs a new incident. So our button works. The other thing is you can change the text on that button, so you can have the same code behind. And if you get really fancy with it, so this is something interesting. it's a URL, right? So if you needed to know how to run a one-step using a URL, I think there's a way to do that now. I think you may be able to copy that out straight from the HTML code from this. I'm not 100% on that, but if we look, we have, here's a link. It has, oh, this doesn't have a URL. This has a CSM custom tag on it where it says it's a command, and then the href is just a pound. And then we have CSM command is equal to one step, launch one step. All right, this is pretty standard. Okay, so there's no URL to launch in one step. I'm wrong. But yeah, this is the code behind for that button. Now you can change the text on this very easily. The text comes from this section right here. Here's that NBSP thing I was talking about. I did not create an extra line at the end of this, but Cherwell did. Anyways, that's the rest of our video. I don't really have anything else to go over for this other than you could preview this in the browser. You know, that's something you could do. I prefer to preview it on, you know, dashboards, but if you need it in the browser, honestly, that may be faster than saving out of this and closing it and going back to the dashboard. So there's that. And if you have any questions about the HTML editor, feel free to comment on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to see more videos. I'm hoping that we do some videos on the Cherwell REST API in the near future. It really depends on my mood and what else I come up with during the week. So yeah, that's it. Definitely check out our website for all of our maps. If you haven't seen our many map listings on the Map Exchange, you know, we have them on our website as well. And thanks for watching.